All right. So I'm going to go start. Welcome to the November meeting for the Town of Portola Valley Cultural Arts Committee. And I noticed we never do should we be just saying the land acknowledgement at the beginning of each our meeting? I just realized I
That'd be
never say
nice.
that. I'll just do it. The town of Portola Valley acknowledges the colonial history of this land we dwell upon, the unceded territory of the Ramaytush Ohlone, Tamiya Nation, and Mawikma Ohlone, who endured a human and cultural genocide that included removal from their lands and their sacred relationship to the land. Portola Valley recognizes that we profit from the commodification of land seized from indigenous people and now bear the ecological consequences. We seek to understand the impact of these legacies on all beings and to find ways to make repair. First meeting item is call to order and roll call. So we have Jerry, we have Phil, we have Mimi. Let me put Mimi's last name. Stacy, Leslie, Ivy, Leo. The only person that's missing at the present is Sue.
Okay, try again on spelling Mimi's name. Brei.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. So we don't really observe this rule, but we're supposed to observe, which have a 3 minute time limit on each person's speaking time, but it seems like we never have any problem. Approval of minutes. I think I've already submitted the minutes. We should just we can minutes from October 9th. I guess for those people, let's take a vote to approve our minutes from October 9th, 2025, which this is what we do. This is what I do is I have the agenda in front of me and I simply take meeting minutes under each item. And then I kind of just make sure there are no spelling errors and I send it off to the city and then we approve the next. So I guess those people who approve what I do from October 9th, we just take a vote, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye. Okay. So
what we've typically done
Yep.
on the committee before the reorganization is include a copy of last month's minutes in the agenda for this
Okay.
month, so we can all see it.
Fantastic. I will do that. Okay. So for new business, new meeting time, what we talked about is going forward, we want to meet in person. What that means is the first Tuesday of every month at 5 p.m. at the schoolhouse. I understand we voted on this last time. I just want to reconfirm, make sure that we are all clear on that. What that means is the first in-person meeting will be next month, December the 2nd. December 2nd, 2025,
Okay.
in person at Portola Valley Schoolhouse. Okay.
Great.
Right. So I don't think we need to vote on this because we voted on it last time. Does anybody have any comment on it? Yes.
Yeah, I do. Will it be possible to zoom in?
Yes. So the in-person I will still circulate the meeting agenda and then you will still have be provided with our designated Zoom Dalian. So you can still do that. What we didn't talk about is the following is we need someone to manage the online to open up that line when we meet at the schoolhouse. So people who do decide Dalian can Dalian. Can we take a volunteer on that?
What do you mean by that?
Like we need to, there's just too many things for me to do, taking notes and then manning the computer. I need somebody who man the computer to make sure that, we open up the online. We
The
open
Zoom,
up the
yeah,
Zoom meeting, yes.
that's all set up on the right-hand side of the desk in the schoolhouse. Yeah, I
Right.
can do that.
Okay, fantastic. So Phil Bard will manage the online, will open, excuse me, not even manage, will open the Zoom meeting.
Okay. And
Or
we need to make sure we have the key to the room, to the building.
okay,
I don't know.
I will do that. Ivy
Okay.
Margolis will obtain key to the building.
Where do you meet?
The old schoolhouse.
Okay.
The schoolhouse, yeah. That's where all the committee meetings are held. Should the committee decide to have it on a in-person on a town property, it will be the schoolhouse. Because I recently learned last week is that the schoolhouse is the only town meeting space that has AC equipment. So for example, the Buckeye room, the larger room where you see, we've had our different events, that doesn't really have AC equipment. So that means we can't really have an in-person meeting and have a Zoom call at the same time. So it has to be in the schoolhouse to accommodate in-person meeting and allowing other folks to dial in over Zoom. Okay, so we have new business. Any other comments about the in-person meeting going forward, which is going to be the first Tuesday of the month at 5 p.m. at the schoolhouse?
If you're
It's just like,
if you're
that's not a
going to
great
use
time.
Zoom, you have to announce it
Uh-huh,
ahead of time. In other words, you have to let Ivy know so that she can record who is in person and who is not. And Ivy, you have to show your minutes that way,
Okay.
like present and then remote.
Yeah. Well, I need to see if now that we're not a Brown Act committee, like how closely do we need to observe all of those rules? I
Well,
think
you were
those,
saying that that's not a great time for you.
Well, no, it's not a great time for me, but I realize like I'm new and I can adjust, but
You're probably on
that's
the road.
just, well, it's a little hard for me to get home by that time on some days, and also that is my Pilates night, but I can make an exception once a month.
on
But
Tuesdays.
if there were any other, like, at a later date, if you guys wanted to revisit this, maybe.
I think this is as good as any time, Lil, because let me just tell you something. So Thursdays is not a good day because we are competing with all sorts of activities and commitments as well as the schoolhouse. So Thursday night, that's out. And for me, it is important for me to do early evening, between 4 p.m., 4:30 p.m. preferably, and 7:30 p.m. Because during the day it's a little bit tough. So that being the time of the day, Thursday is out, Friday is out because with people's weekend plans. And now we're looking at Monday through Wednesday. Tuesday seemed we never looked into Monday. I'm definitely open into it. So if we want to look into another day, what that meant is the following. Okay. If first Tuesday of the month at 5 p.m. is not good for people, then we can discuss on another time. I will then take those times. What I recommend we discuss 2 to 3 time slots. Then take those time, go to the city to see if the city has one of those times available for the schoolhouse. And then come back in the next meeting, and then we'll vote on the final time in the next meeting. So that's the process. We're happy to do that. So what we could do is the following. Okay, next month, we meet on the first Tuesday at 5 p.m. at schoolhouse. That's set. Let's not change that. Meanwhile, if we want to propose 2 to 3 time slots, so I can go back to the city to make sure that the schoolhouse is available at that time, then next month we can vote on it for the December meeting.
Okay,
For
how about
January meeting going
doing
forward.
a doodle poll offline, so we can see what's available for people, and then do a formal vote after we've done a doodle poll?
I was thinking
That
about
sounds
that, too,
good.
Phil. Great.
Well, what I mean is that's all fine. It's the process. I need to take it back to the city. So everything that requires city buy-in requires me to take it back to the city, and then we have to confirm it at a meeting. So so we can doodle it. Someone else can run a doodle. I don't know how to run a doodle poll. How do you guys run a doodle?
Nor I.
Okay.
Oh, I used to do that.
Okay.
I used to
Maybe
have
someone else can run a doodle. So really, we're only looking at, so Leo, is Tuesday not a good time for you at all, or just Tuesday at
No,
5?
I can adapt, but yeah, Tuesdays aren't great in general because I try to keep my commitment to fitness, but I can also, it's only once a month, so I can, I can
Okay.
rearrange.
Well, then that leaves us Mondays and Wednesdays. So,
Yeah, those are both better for me, but I don't know. I don't want to, I'm just new on this committee and I really don't want to step on anyone's toes.
okay. I prefer Wednesday. Mondays are a little bit tough. Wednesdays, maybe that only gives us Wednesdays. Does anybody have any problem with Wednesday?
I do. I have lots of meetings on Wednesdays.
Okay.
And Wednesdays are meeting dates for other clubs here in Portola Valley, like Together Women Rise and so forth, are Wednesday.
Ivy,
Yep.
Ivy, I don't mind sending out a doodle
Yeah.
so that we can handle this offline.
Great.
Okay. Well, if I recall, Tuesday, we had this conversation last time. Tuesday was the only time. That Tuesday was the only day that came out. But happy to resend the doodle again. But for now, next month, let's meet at the Tuesday, December 2nd in the schoolhouse. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. So we have a new member, Liao. Liao, would you like to introduce yourself to the group? You have 3 minutes.
Sure.
Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Leo Berger. I grew up in Portola Valley with the name Leo Hannerfeld. So my parents are also long-term Portola Valley residents. I was away from Portola Valley from the 80s through like 2013 when I came back. So I've been in Portola Valley ever since. I live on Hillbrook. I have an MA in art history and very interested in all the arts. I wanted to do something kind of, with the community, feel more like, I don't know. I just love how we're much more of a community now than when I was growing up, and I'd kind of like to be a part of that. And while I was living in France, I served on a very similar type of committee. So I thought that might be interesting. And I'm not really sure how specifically I can be helpful, but I'm happy to help as I can, and I'm always open to ideas. Does anyone have any questions?
Welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome.
that's
Thank you.
great.
Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. I can just introduce to you a little bit about our committee. The Cultural Arts Committee has been around for a long time. Recently, last summer, we had a reorganization. There were a lot of people from the Cultural Arts Committee left to join a nonprofit organization here in town called the Portola Valley PV Palooza Foundation, in which I'm also a part of that. Given the shift, for those of us who decided not to leave, who decided to stay, because we really want to have the cultural arts community to be continued in this town. So this is our first year, kind of with the new leadership. This is my first year chairing the committee. Our goal this year is very much getting to know each other, gel. Well, my goal this year is for our group to gel, to get to know each other, to kind of get to know I mean, we've known each other, but to get to feel comfortable with a new cadence and rhythm and how we work together. We, as far as how we do events, it's very self-driven, right? Is that you, whatever event you feel passionate about, run it. Tell us what kind of support we want, unless there is some sort of overwhelming objection, we'll be behind you, provided we have the budget that to support what you are asking for, and then you chair that event. So it's very much you, whatever you want to be seen done, you need that you need to make sure you need to get it done. You chair it, you tell us what can we do to help you, the budget, the funding that you need. And then for me specifically, I'm not taking on any events this year because it's been quite a bit of learning curve for me to learn to work how to work with the city. And I think I just too many things to juggle. I got to focus on one thing. So whenever you put on an event, inevitably, most likely you will need some sort of reservation and approval from the city. And I am really the person that help you to do that. So I think there are city rules or whatever the rules, only the chair of the committee can communicate with the city. So I will do that. That also helps to make sure there are just not too many cooks in the kitchen. It helps to with the communication to stay organized. So far, we have a few events that we're planning. And I think in this meeting, I will go over those we'll be going through those events, and so you know what we're planning.
And I just have to interrupt for a second.
Yep.
So my next class starts at 2. So
Okay.
I'm going to have to run out of here around then. Well, actually, wait, hang on. Let me double check the time. You guys continue. I'm going to double check the time.
Sure. We usually don't run over, so I think we
Okay.
are good.
Are-
Any questions for Lael before we move on into the planning for our event?
For me, I have a question. Are you saying you're a school teacher too?
Yeah, I teach high school English and French.
Oh, wonderful. Très bien.
Where are you?
I work at Lowell in San Francisco.
Oh
Oh my
boy,
goodness.
that is a very, what I heard, it's just a super rigorous school. I remember in college, I went to Berkeley, and then
Yeah.
I had no idea what Lowell was until I went to UC Berkeley and I met kids from Lowell, and that's why I learned about just how incredibly um, rigorous the school is.
My
And
sister
Well,
went to the old Lowell, but that was on Masonic in San Francisco.
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I love hearing those stories. So yeah, we have that amazing reputation. I worked at Lowell since I think the year 2001 with, a
Wow.
gap while I was in France. We're not quite at the level that we were before, but I love it here. It is really a great place to work.
Fantastic. Well,
And I don't have to drive too far into town. So
it's good to have you.
Right. You can come along right there at Lake Merced.
yeah, I just shoot up 280.
Right.
So welcome Lael, and
Thank you so much.
let's talk about the event. So Sue and Leslie, I understand our schoolhouse drawing event was canceled, because there was a low turnout. I mean, what I want to do is, do you guys plan to put that event up again, or is that just cancellation?
What I understand from Sue, we had a conversation. She's not on the Zoom here today?
She is on.
I talked to her on the phone and
Oh, okay.
texted her, and she said, I'm trying to get in.
Oh, no.
I just checked to see if she texted me back, and she hasn't, but
Oh.
she said she saw my note. I
Wait a
told her,
minute, here I am.
oh, good, good, good.
Hi.
Okay, no, I've been on. Okay,
Well, then,
Oh.
Sue, I don't have to speak for you, except to say that my understanding is that maybe you've got some enthusiasm, it sounded like, for moving the event to Ormondale, where students would already be there, kids would already be there, but not necessarily sketching the schoolhouse. But I may have misunderstood what you were thinking there. And why were we involving Ormondale at all? I was just saying that I used to run for 8 years, long ago, a weekly noon art program on Mondays for the Ormondalers, the K through 3. So that's where that came from. But I think, Sue, you were realizing there wasn't much turnout or excitement brewing for the schoolhouse event, right?
Right. I think we could maybe do it in the summer,
Yeah.
and I'd like to swing the support to your noon art program.
We'll see. Do we know who the principal is now and who we would need permission from?
Lynette
don't.
Hovland.
Stacy will know.
Lynette Hovland.
Lynette.
Correct. Yeah,
And
Lynette's
our
the
daughter
principal.
works there every day.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
And Lynette followed me when I left public ed, and she became the principal and took over my school.
Hmm.
So I know Lynette pretty well.
Oh, that's great.
maybe you should call her, Jerry.
Yeah, I
that
can
sounds
talk to
fantastic.
Lynette, but just, Sue, I'll work with you and Leslie, just let me know.
Okay.
Perfect. Oh,
Okay.
that's great.
So the lesson learned from, I want to talk about us, about we need to let's establish some sort of procedures about cancellation. Because is we we there was a lot of time planning went through. I had personally spent a few hours going back and forth with the city, pinning down the time and also the city resources. We just need to be mindful of that. And so let's talk about, when we can. So, knowing that we can, let's when we do cancel, we need to meet some sort of requirements about cancel because, this is just, and I think it put me in a rather difficult situation to have spent, ask the city so much time, the city's investment to come up with the place, and then there was a last minute cancellation. So I think when we have events going forward, we need to think about it if we want reservation attendance to be a requirement or reservation to be a requirement, let's make that very clear. Otherwise, it's one of those things is we don't know people usually going to show up, right? I think sometimes people don't like to make reservation, not because they don't RSVP, is they just show up, right? For the town picnic, I don't think people RSVP for the town picnic. They just showed up. And that's my feedback about cancellation. And also now, obviously, there are exceptions to that rule. If there are weather considerations, right? It's an outdoor event. We have a rain. The weather is not it's not conducive to having that event. That will fall under. But if attendance is required, let's make that clear ahead of time so we can prepare for that. Or maybe we should, make sure we have enough RSVP prior to making the reservation with the town. Because that's all investment in terms of resources across the board. We just want to be mindful of that. Does anybody have feedback on that?
That sounds right to me, that you make
Okay.
sure people would want to attend at that time and that sort of thing before you go through all the
Right.
coordination with the town.
Okay. So this is this really should be an agenda item. You know what? I'm going to do this really at the end. Other business is basically Ivy's conversation with the town regarding the speakers. It was a very, very illuminating conversation. I like to share with everyone what I learned, and I think we can learn a lot from. We can take away a lot from that. Okay, do we have any feedback about the schoolhouse drawing event?
I do want to put in the thought that if we do manage to move this kind of art activity for young kids to Ormondale, are we still coordinating with the town or are we coordinating with the school? I would imagine it's with the
Be
school.
school.
Would not know. I think it depends on what your guys, what the details of the event, and then whether or not any of those details require support from the town.
We
So I
still
think
have
that
to
would
put it
depend.
on the agenda of the town because we are an official committee of the town of Portola Valley.
Perfect.
So even if it's held somewhere else, the town has to know what we're doing and be informed. The place can be Ormdale,
Okay.
but they would want to know, Ivy.
Okay, that's fine. So I want to, before we start, end that is, so if attendance is required, let's make sure we put that. So the question is, do we want to confirm attendance before we secure the location with the town? Or once we secure the location with the town, we just move forward regardless of attendance? I do want for us to all consider and vote on this because what happened this time was, last name may call off after, I think personally, I went through 3 or 4 rounds of I'm working with, I think, 3 different people from the town to make that reservation. That just does not reflect well on us.
So, Ivy, I'm sorry about that.
Mhm.
And part of that is the town had a rule that you had to work with the chairman only. And you just said 10 minutes ago that we could sponsor an event, but that we would chair it. So I assumed that I would have been the one to walk through and do all that. So I'm sorry you had to do it. And I think that we need to tell our new town manager to adapt to this because we'll burn out our chairman. So I'm terribly sorry, but I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Well, I think there's a reason for that because so we can stay consistent with our focus with our communication. I can just tell you my conversation with the town is that they are running on very, very little resources. That's the reason why they want to communicate with the chairman only, because so that helps them to streamline their communication. But I think it just when we planning our, if you are chairing an event and for you attendance is important, I would say cut off the attendance RSVP, not just so much a day or two ahead of time, maybe a week ahead of time. So, at least that's going to prevent the town from putting on the resources the last week. Because for this event, the town person and we met last week. 3 days before the event, we had a walkthrough. And then it was even after the walkthrough, we received the cancellation notice. So I think as far as time, what I want to do is absence of the weather considerations. I mean, cancel obviously, and if one were is sick, and then is just for attendance reasons. Really, let's make sure the cancellation's done at least a week ahead. It's that we should do that. And then if attendance is very, very important, then we need to do more marketing, right? Because I think there was one email that was sent out on the form. That was it. That was about it. I'm not sure if we needed, there was more. I'm not sure. I mean, I question if there was more marketing done, there would be more people who would have signed up. And also, if RSVP is required, and I think we should make that clear in our marketing material that RSVP is required.
Well, whether or not we were working with the schools,
Mhm.
I think it would be great to, publicize, advertise it with the schools or, I'm sure the art teachers would
Yeah.
support this kind of project.
In the past, the one, I'm going way back 3 chairs ago, but we actually went to every one of the schools here in Portola Valley, and the principals were great. A couple of them took our flyer and said, "We'll run it off for you and hand it out to every one of the kids." Maybe they
Right.
have the same rule that the superintendent has to approve anything that goes out. So we didn't even run them off at our expense, but when the
Ah.
teacher says something in class, it does spur more interest.
Okay. I mean, we raised this, like if you guys needed marketing help, and I think that's another thing, right? The chairs, we need to, if you raise your hand, if you need marketing help, because we're all here to help you. Stacy, yeah.
One thing that I've done with events in the past is if we have like a one-page document where we have just like some general questions that are answered about an event, that could be really helpful. And then like I know some of us could make a flyer, and like if there's information on the event doc, we could kind of run with it and then make sure that whoever is in charge of the event signs off on everything before we market it. But would it be okay for me to make sort of an event doc template that I could share with everyone?
That would be super helpful.
Great.
And then, yeah. So for this event, did you guys, Leslie and Sue, did you reach out in addition to, I saw there was an email to the forum, what other marketing efforts did you guys, did you do to market this event?
I did not market, so, but I think the idea and part of what Sue was enthusiastic about is if you're doing it at the school, you've got kind of a built-in population who is probably interested, at least from the past experience many years ago. Our room was very full when we were doing that way back then. So for what that's
Yeah.
worth.
What I also like to know if it's a cancellation within before ahead of before if it's cancellation that's more than a week ahead, please send us an email. If there's a cancellation within a week, I think let's not make that decision on one's own. Please send an email to us. Maybe if you guys, the person who chairs it cannot see the event through, other people can just, chime in, see the event through. Because by then, all the marketing has gone out. The town has invested their resources. We've done rounds and rounds of communication with the town by then. So we need a little bit, essentially, unless there's absolutely really, really good reason, the event will have to go through. That's what I ask. Yeah. Yeah. And then we should vote on it to see if okay. So if there are no other feedback, we have 15 minutes. I want to go through the other two items. One is use music night. Jerry, I know you have been working with Steve on that. I think the last time we talked about it is that you guys will come up with a date or a list of dates, and then I can go make sure I can work with the city to make sure the event venues are available on those dates.
The last time I spoke with Steve, which was several weeks ago, I think I mentioned his vision was very different than ours. So the idea we have has to go on a back burner, and we can do that another time. What he is doing is he wants to bring the music into our cultural arts committee because it's gone now. And he wants to see that young musicians can perform in the community hall, like on a Friday evening. And actually, he was over at Woodside High School, and he has a couple of bands already new bands coming up that he is working with. So that's where I left it with him. I told him that we wanted him to come to a meeting, but of course I got sick and missed the last one. And I wanted to come to this meeting to see where we all were, and then I can try to move forward with Steve for us. But it might be best to schedule it after the first of the year because December is just too busy. And it's short notice.
Oh, yeah, I think we never anticipated December. I absolutely agree. It should be sometime after the year.
It might be a nice spring
So
event.
do you want to send me an email about the dates? I think what we talked about was Valentine's Day, no?
I have no recollection if that was an October discussion. I wasn't there.
Okay. So can you do me a favor? Why don't you talk to Steve? What are the dates that he's looking into? And then because then we can lock that in with the city. I can just tell you the city does not respond right away. I have waited anywhere between a week to 3 weeks to hear back from them
You're
with
right.
multiple follow-ups. And this is why my little bit of say, once we have a date with the city, we really want to hold on to it, right? And I think they're doing that not intentionally. It's just they're, as we all know, the city has resource constraints. So we just have to be mindful that that's a constraint. So would you send me a list of dates that could work? Because I can just tell you, if we're looking into, if we wait until January to look to book something for February, the chance of the event happening is probably very low.
All right.
We're not going to get that. So it's really sometime this month. And also what I would like to know is the budget, right? How much budget, what kind of resource you need? Are we going to be ordering food? Are we going to be, what
No,
exactly
he
we're
said
gonna-
nothing like that. He didn't want, I did talk to him about all that from our discussion from the September meeting. He said, don't mess with cookies and wine and punch and all that. Just let the kids come and play music and have an audience. That's all they want. That he sees it as something very clean and easy that the Cultural Arts Committee will sponsor. And I don't mind continuing working with Steve.
Yeah. On the issue of budget, this is why I said I can only focus on a few things. Who do I talk to with the city to understand what our budget is for the community?
Remember I
Yeah.
secured $3,000 from the council. We
Right.
used to get like close to $20,000, but we no longer hire the bands for Music in the Park for the 3 concerts. So a PV Palooza, as you well know, is picking up all the fundraising for that now, and we took it off the town budget.
Okay.
So that's good information for Lael to know.
Okay. So I can just tell you from working on budgets, not so much in the capacity of the Cultural Arts Committee, but in all sorts of other communities, we want to spend that money. Because if we don't want to spend that money, whatever budget we have, then next year when we ask for the same amount of money, the question will be, well, you didn't spend it. So why does you need this money? So I would say, don't be shy. We have very few events this year. So what that means is each of the event, and it's a good news, each of the event will have, I think the budget's enough. So talk to Steve. I think we have money for food. We have just think about what we could do, right? Because right now we're down to 3 events. What that really means is about $1,000 per event. So think about it, how you would like to use that.
We could give a little stipend to each one of the bands too, but that's the trouble. If there's 5 or 6 kids in a band, that would be the whole wad, even if we only gave them $50. So
I think
I think it would
giving
be
out
better to
cash.
buy cheese and crackers and some wine
Yeah,
and
I think so. I think giving out money, it's one of those things, right? If we're the city and we're giving out money, paying, um, it can be done. We just need to make sure that there is not a conflict of interest when that happens. And we also need to make sure that is done in a way that is, we observe all the just common sense, right? It's equitable, that we're not, giving one kid, $10, another kid $20. It should be the
Right.
same. So all those things, and also, maybe keep it to the minimum, no more than $50 per child.
I mean,
There are minors. We don't want to run into those problem. What I do think is it's a great opportunity for us to think about buying food. And that room you guys are thinking about, there is no AC equipment. So most likely we'll need to rent the equipment and we'll have to pay for the setup and then taking down those equipment. So that will actually cost quite a little bit of money. So I'm not
I
sure
think
you guys are aware.
the kids will come with their own roadies and they'll have their own, the bass will have its own music needs and so forth.
I just want to
Over
say,
that,
typically, these bands, do need money. So if we were going to give money, maybe instead of like to the kids individually, like a small sum to the band to cover, their miscellaneous expenses.
I'll check with Steve on that. Steve is really good about having everything ready for the kids too. You know what
Okay.
he does for PV Palooza. He is amazing with the young bands and the teenagers.
Well, a lot of the teachers end up spending their own money. So, it might be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. He is working with a music teacher over there, so we could always make a donation. On our guest speaker, we usually gave him a fancy orchid or something. We never gave money.
Mm.
So that's something for us to look into, Ivy, as chair. And by the way, if you buy, the crackers and the cheese and whatever, there is a form, an official form, and I do have a copy of it, that you fill out and you turn it into the town and
Mhm.
get reimbursed for anything
Yeah.
from our budget.
So you and Steve should talk about who's responsible for the budget, right? Come up with a list of things, expenses you will have, and then how much it will be. And then I'm happy to get the form, give that to you, fill that out, and I will file that with the city to make sure we follow the rules of city rules when it comes to expenditure. What I would also like to know is, we really have to zoom in on the type of activities. I think last time we talked about it, it's just there will be bands and there will also be arts and crafts table and there will all be some sort of, I think other table. That is all comes down to we need to be very clear about exactly what those activities are and therefore what our asks will be for the city. So if those things that will require tables and chairs, and then the city doesn't do setup, who's going to be doing the setup, right? Are we going to be doing the setup volunteering? Or since we have the budget, maybe part of the budget is to hire somebody to do the setup and cleaning up. Those are the things I think I was just informing you guys to consider. But first thing first, in the next week or so, and I'm happy to send you a follow-up email and Steve, let's give me some dates in February.
Okay.
All right. And then, okay. So we have Stacy, the spring photography, my same question. Do we have dates?
Yeah, so almost. I have some obligations over at Ormondale. I'm helping with Mr. White with the musical this year. And I now know that the musical performances are going to be probably mid-May. So I'm trying to avoid like that specific weekend. And then I was also working with the school and I'm bringing and the first grade teachers, and we're bringing Ada Twist Scientist, the musical, to school, and that's going to be in April. So I'm trying to just avoid those 2 weekends, and I know you specifically said spring, so I think I'm starting to narrow down the dates, and within the next week or two, I think I should have an idea. I just want to make sure I'm not picking a date where I am overcommitted.
Yeah.
That
But I
makes
would
sense.
say give me 2 to 3 weekends. And that's the message to both you and Jerry is
Great.
city told me is that they do not book more than one event per weekend.
Okay.
So even if the date that we pick is open, but if there's an event, the day after, if it's a Saturday and the Sunday after there's an event, they will not book that Saturday. Again, it goes back to they do not have the capacity to deal to essentially administer the setup. They just, and even though they don't do setup, I think they just don't have, they can only do one event per weekend.
That makes sense.
So 2 to 3 weekends to give us some room. Again, budget. So that's a good news. We have budget,
Great.
maybe it's prize money, maybe is again, it may be setup, right? Are you thinking about having a show of the photography, like be in that room? So maybe putting up or framing, or I don't know what you have in mind. So
Yeah, I think if it works, if we have a little bit of a budget, I think it would be great to like have a formal, I need to think through like what is the formal submission process. And I think it was either Sue or Jerry I was going to try to meet with to just find out what the process was previously and then just either use that same process and make a few updates.
okay,
I don't know if we're like, are we allowed to use Google Forms or do we have to use forms through the town for submissions?
I'll look into it.
Okay, because otherwise I could set up like, if there are no additional rules I need to follow, we need to follow, like I could just set up a Google form and have submissions come in that way, and have like a place for the students to write their name and the name of their photograph, and then if they want to give a brief description, and then if we decide we want any of that printed, some of the funds could go towards printing them, and if we wanted it, if we want to print the photos, or if we want them to provide printed photos. And my guess is that not everyone would know exactly how to print a photo these days. And I know that I could get them printed. So I think that's where funds would probably be used if needed. And then depending on the submissions, if we want to have some type of prizes or voting process or feedback, we could kind of think through what that process might be. But I love the idea of basically having it up and then inviting people to come see the photos.
That most of them came printed. The parents went to a print shop. And they was mounted on styrofoam and easy to use. And then we put a lot of them in frames. And because we were in the window, because it was COVID, then the library asked us to display them in there. And Jerry had a great idea of putting note cards for people to make comments.
Oh, great. I love that.
Yeah, and the comments were wonderful.
Fantastic. Yeah, so would you, I think the first item is give me the 3 dates and then of course the budget, and then I think that's going to help us to move forward. We're out the time. If people can stay, I'm happy to share with everyone my conversation with the town regarding the speaker series. I have also invited Rebecca and Darcy to join our in-person meeting next month, which is going to be December 2nd. Is there interest? I'm happy to share about what we talked about.